Hello, everybody, all over the world, and welcome to a HiPod. Today I got Johnny, this
Hey.
guy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. I personally headhunted this guy right
Oh
here,
God.
because I saw your Pyro video about explaining the flamethrower, and it was way worse than I thought. Like I had some basic understanding of the flamethrower, but that really put the nail on the head, and you showcased what was like the major issue with the flamethrower, and that's why you're here today. We're going to talk about that and some other stuff as well. But there might be people who might not even know you because you're not like a famous, like super famous YouTuber. I mean,
Not yet.
no, not yet, obviously, but you play Pyro at a very high level. Why don't you just tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. My name is Hardass Johnny on YouTube. I'm known as the Whistling Pyro, and I've been playing Pyro for a very long time. Probably since sometime before the direct hit came out on TF2. Oh yeah, I gotta talk like this.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. And yeah, it's let's see. I've been playing Pyro since for quite a long time now. I've been playing competitive Pyro since season 7 of UGC, which is a few years now, about 3.5 years. And I've been playing Platinum since season 9, so for about like 2.5 to 3 years of Platinum Pyro. So yeah, I wasted too much of my life on this class, but it was worth it. Very well worth it.
Yeah, okay. So, and also we talked about this before the podcast, but yeah, we started. You've played TF2 for about as long as I have. Like when we started, wise, because you started just after hats. I mean, I played it on release, and then the game didn't have hats, didn't have unlocks. It was kind of boring after a while, so I stopped. But then I came back in 2009, and sometime I've been playing ever since. So we've been playing since about the time. But you decided to pick the class I play the least, the Pyro. So why did you choose Pyro? Like, why is he your main class?
Well, I've been playing since before the Degreaser came out, so I played Pyro mostly for Air Blast. I found Air Blast and Reflecting Rockets really, really fun. I would play on DM servers. DM Store was my favorite map, and I would just fight people and use the old Puff and Sting with the Axe Extinguisher and things like that. But that was Pyro and Engineer and Scout were kind of my favorite class at the time. But after the Degreaser came out, it was all Pyro from there. It was all downhill.
Yeah. There's been some changes to the Pyro out in the Tough Break update as well. We won't go over that, in detail. I think most people know that like extinguishing gives you health back, and they changed the way Air Blast works, so you can't just push people around as much as you want.
Yeah, just one time is all you get.
Yeah, you get one time, and then you can just bother people, or they're just going to stay where they are in the air.
Yeah.
So
They'll have more control.
Yeah, so it takes a bit more effort to move people around. So let's move on to the main topic of why we're here, and that is the flamethrower. So in case you guys haven't watched it, if you're watching this on YouTube, I would recommend you pause this video and you go watch it. Link will be in the description, and it's basically a video of you explaining how the flamethrower works. And
yes.
Why don't you just give us the too long didn't watch recap of it's like 3 minutes, isn't it? Like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was a pretty short video,
yeah,
so it's hard to say too long didn't watch, but
yeah, like it's very accurate, and I highly recommend watching it because he will give you like the proper understanding of what the issue is. So why don't you tell us what the issue is then, now that everybody's seen it?
The biggest issue that I have with it is that what you see is not what you get. These flames aren't real. They are only an illusion. So secretly they're actually little boxes, and the boxes have very interesting mechanics about them that I didn't go over in the video. They inherit your momentum, and the way you move your body and the mouth changes how they work.
Okay, so if you move forward, they go slightly faster or longer than if you were
they'll inherit your velocity. So if you go forward and then backwards, the range will basically extend. And in some cases, like there's one example in the video where it just goes way beyond belief. But that's only one aspect of it. Another aspect is that depending on how your ping changes in a game, your range will change as well. So what you see is really not what you get with these flames. They're only sometimes they kind of give you a little bit of an accurate representation, but generally it's not best to rely entirely on them if you want to maximize your damage.
Yeah. So basically, like if you just demonstrate it, because people can't see, but if you demonstrate towards the back here, of the length. It's actually slightly longer range than what the particles would suggest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's shorter if you have bad mojo. If your ping changes in an unfortunate way, sometimes it's not quite as long.
Because I remember testing that, like, with bots. I had different range than the bots did. Like, it would sit and aim directly at each other, and I don't remember which one, but one would hit one, and one would not hit the other, so there's some issues there. So basically what we can conclude from this is hitboxes are not inside the particles. The particles are separate.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that is what we call fucking bullshit, because every other, like... The other thing that maybe comes close to this is the Machina tracer, which isn't always, like, accurate. Like, the tracer...
And maybe spy, backstab, face stab, hit reg is kind of a little bit sometimes wonky, but it makes sense.
Like the hit reg is wonky, but I mean, like, the visualization isn't off. Like, you'd still see that you stab and you die. But, like, with the flames, you can see the flames go through a guy and then just nothing.
Nothing, and that's very frustrating, especially like if you're a newer player.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I had an issue with that where I had to change my interp settings, which is like something you shouldn't really have to do at all, ever.
Yes,
actually,
absolutely. That's the number one thing you should do as Pyro is change your interp settings, but like most Pyros won't do that.
What's a good interp setting? Because I heard there's like difference if you want to burn people or if you want to reflect. Because if you want to reflect, you want it as low as possible as you see the rocket as early as possible. Right?
Yes, absolutely. I wasn't sure if there was a difference between burning, since burning is essentially little projectiles, lots of little projectiles.
Well, fuck me
so I'd imagine that the lowest would be good for burning too.
Okay.
For shotgunning, you might want the standard interp for that, which is like 33 or so milliseconds. But for in general for Pyro, I like to have interp all the way low.
Yeah, as low as the server allows. So you put it at 0, and then it just sets it to whatever the server allows.
On some servers, I get 0 interp, which is rather nice, even if it's a bit weird looking.
Yeah. So yes. So I think, like, if we were to suggest a fix, I would say put the particles inside the boxes.
Yes, that would be the simplest. Well, I guess the simplest thing to do would be make it so that you can see the boxes themselves. But that would probably be far too lazy and
no, I mean, like, that would be very jarring. It's like, why am I seeing boxes? Why is debug turned on? But like,
basically,
what we did mention is that Flamethrower actually travels through walls. Actually, the box doesn't stop.
So right now, I don't know if you can see this on your cam. These flames that are kind of trailing off the side.
Wait, hold on. How do I turn this on? Like, maybe I could see this. What is the command so we can illustrate? It's like TF flame. No.
TF_debug_flamethrower.
Alright, so let's just turn that on. Okay, try and burn now. Yeah, there you go. Oh, you can see, like, you see boxes fucking disappear up there. Like, way up there.
Yes, and yet what you see right here is the fire is kind of bumping off the surface. The particles that you see are bumping off the surface. But the particle boxes are
if you can shoot them this way, like at the back here, so we can see more, like... can see, like, the
gotta run out of ammo. Oh, we got impulse 101, never mind.
Yeah. So you can see, like, the boxes go through, and I think the way it works is that the boxes know if they've gone through a wall. So if it's gone through a wall and it hits something, it's like, well, I hit you, but I gone through a wall, so 0 damage, I guess. No flames.
Yeah, it's actually pretty efficient in terms of your CPU usage.
Yeah.
For it, you don't have to calculate physics for every single box. You just kind of do the basic momentum inheritance and things like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to account for bouncing off walls, so it's actually pretty efficient server side. It's just not represented at all by the game.
So it needs, bottom line, it needs better representations of the flames. Like, what you see is what you get, like you do with all other projectiles,
basically
like rockets
everything else,
and sticky bombs and stuff like that. And grenades. You see, and then they stop, and it's like 1-to-1. But with Pyro, it's not. So. Like I started to say earlier, like I played on a pub and like I was burning someone and I clearly saw the flames go through him. Oh yeah, look at me, I'm on fire.
See, that time it worked. That's good.
Yeah, good, great. I'm also inside boxes. Do these boxes go away? Yeah, they do.
Oh,
right, cool.
they do.
Sweet. Box GPS 2016. Sweet. Yeah, but because like as you like, if you can just demonstrate like you turning like and doing like the spastic pyro like all over,
Boxes again.
boxes go not necessarily where the flames are going. You see it better in your example, but if you like do like this,
Yeah.
this motion, you can see like the boxes aren't really represented well with whatever the particles are doing, which is
It's mostly noticeable when your mojo is very good, so you have long range, and when you move,
Yeah.
specifically, like your momentum is carried over.
yeah, because I think a lot of people have also tried to chase people, and you see flames go through the people who chase them, but they just don't catch
Yes.
fire, and that's really
Yeah.
frustrating. And he's like, "But I hit him," and the server's like, "Nope." I think it's like the same hit rate issues, which is like with the disciplinary action. If you ever played Soldier, the stat on that weapon should be you only boost teammates sometimes when you hit them, not always, because like
It can boost behind you too. Actually, there's a hitbox behind you,
yeah.
so it's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. So yeah, that's like that in a nutshell. I think there's different ways to do this. I think probably the way to do it from a technical standpoint, I've not that familiar with like how TF2 are programmed, but I know basic programming. You could basically put flame particles inside the box. It shouldn't be that hard to do, and then you can just because like you can see if you just burn, you will see there's fewer boxes than there's flame projectiles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what you can do, you can just add an additional flame particle inside the box so it looks like you have more flames.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but also you gotta, like, if it goes through a wall, it has to do the check when it goes through a wall as it goes through the wall, otherwise you get flames through the wall. That doesn't hurt anybody, so.
Yeah,
that
and
can be an
also there's this visual thing where if the flames bump a physical object, they kind of bounce off of it. What you
Yeah.
see, that is, that would probably not be.
Okay,
that
so
would probably have to
wait,
be
hold
removed.
on. So if let's see if I just go up here. You see, I'm actually right. Well, look at this. I'm in the fire. Hold on, I'm gonna go back. Like this is like nothing. Like how? Oh yeah, just you're missing. God, you're fucking bad as a pyro. And you can see like the particles are going up here, and also I mean crit flames like nothing. And hold on, let me just get back to place here. So that can also be very confusing for new players.
Absolutely, especially
so
I
think
remember
also
when
they
I first started, I would bounce flames off the floor, hoping that I could get a couple spy checks in or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it should bounce along with the particles as well, like if you bounce on the wall and stuff like that. Definitely should.
Yeah,
So
but that would be a lot more complicated
that's
and
a
intensive.
weird feature. And there's like the Pyro Flamethrower is the only weapon in the game that is like this. There's no other weapon.
Yes, and it's
like,
the primary weapon.
Yeah.
That is it's not good to rely on it. After a while of playing, you kind of get used to how it works, and you can turn your flamethrower off, which is what I do and what a lot of other pyros who play a lot do. They turn the flames off because they kind of have an idea of how they work. Granted, I'm not the best at knowing that. I'm not very good at aiming flames, but I know enough to where I don't want the flames blocking my view. They're basically an impediment. They're not helpful. They just block the screen, so you see less, and that's not great that you'd have to do that as a pyro.
Yeah, and I also wonder if like the flames you're seeing are like actual flames, or if it's like with many others, it's like the flames you see are client-side flames, but everyone else sees the server-side flames.
Yes.
So basically, like for you, the third-person flames are disabled, but you see your own. Kind of like when you're in first-person view, you see your own view model, but not the actual view model.
Yeah.
Because it's actually someplace else. So that's something we don't know, but only Valve does.
Please save us, Val.
Yeah, and also
needs your
people
help.
in the chat are like, "Oh, too confusing for new players. Let's remove that. The pyro no longer has a flamethrower."
I'd be okay with that. To be honest, I just like shotgunning people, but
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have a flamethrower if you're gonna play pyro. So
Yeah. So that's like the way I mention it is like one way to fix it is like you just put flame particles inside the boxes or something, or you make the boxes behave like the particles, some kind of.
yeah, one or the other. Like
Yeah.
Then there's probably other ways. Like my favorite is the hitscan thrower, but that's probably not gonna happen.
Do
even though I
tell
like
about
that.
the hitscan thrower.
My ideal hitscan thrower. So I really like how flames work in that their mechanics. They're really cool. How they inherit your momentum and things like that, and you can move left and right to sort of extend your range and move back and forth horizontally, and move back and forth to extend your range forward and backward. But that you wouldn't get that with just the minigun style flamethrower. So I'd like it if you could have hit scan. It's a little cone, probably a smaller cone, so it's a little harder to aim.
Yeah.
And moving will kind of change the direction of the cone on your screen and for everyone else, so that kind of like, it would probably look a little bit like the Flog. They could probably test it on the Flog actually, because it's already a laser gun.
Because that's the thing about Flog, is that its flame projectiles are constant. Like, they are always in front of you
They just
when you
stay.
turn. Yeah. So
They don't curve.
yeah. Do they show in third person?
For me, they show.
Okay, why don't you go and try and do that, and I'll turn off my stupid phone. And,
Okay.
Try to go and switch to the Flog.
I'll probably switch to red team too,
Yeah. Okay.
just so I don't have to
So
fly over
don't
here.
worry, people. My guest is just having a temporary heart attack. You okay there, buddy? Your hat's over there now. All right.
All right, we're back.
Where? Hello, am I alone?
Right behind you.
Hey, you returned.
Oh wait, I gotta switch to Flog here.
Oh, right. The Flog, also a topic for
And now-
another time.
For some reason, I actually can't switch weapons right now.
Oh, you can't?
I'm just stuck on the power jack. Oh, here we go.
All right, so why don't you do like a 360 turn? And you can see like the flames, they follow. Like they're right in front of the thing all the time. Which is
Yes.
very different. We saw in the flamethrower earlier, like the flames would kind of just go in a straight line from where there was launch, and then they go back. So you basically mean like you just put hit scan inside the Flog. So whatever range the Flog has is just a constant area or where you catch fire and take fire damage, right?
Yeah,
That's what
that'd
I
be
meant.
that'd be like ideal. And then I think it would be nice to have movement-based sort of aiming too for hit scan thrower,
Yeah.
where how you move will sort of change where you aim, so that it takes some skill to actually aim the flames instead of just pointing at the person. You have to compensate for your own movement, sort of like Counter-Strike. You compensate for the recoil,
Oh,
where in TF2, which is more movement-based, you would compensate for your movement naturally. So
Yeah. So you can
I think
make
that would
the-
be really interesting.
So basically, you make the flames smaller, but they aim wherever you aim. They don't lag behind. Like if you fire a rocket and you turn, it would be like if you had a rocket that basically was homing, and then you have like the range where the flamethrower is. That area will always catch people on fire regardless of
Yes.
how fast you turn.
And
Yeah.
make it so that what you see is what you get.
Yeah. So basically, if you have a button that turns the sensitivity up to 9 million, and then you hold the button and you turn like super quickly, any spy that's within that range will instantly catch on fire because he will be within your cone. Basically, is
Yeah.
what would happen. Yeah, that's actually something I thought it should be, but apparently it isn't. It's like the other boxes instead. So
Yeah,
that's just
it's
how it is.
and both. I think having a hit scan thrower would also it wouldn't be the best solution because you can't make flames curve, and you can't see it with the Flog, but with the standard flamethrowers, moving your mouse kind of curves the flame. You probably can't do that with hit scan.
Yeah. I mean, you could I would like them to just have like where you see the flames is where the flames are.
Yeah, I think that would
That
be
would
great.
be the best solution there.
Be a good
But there's
start.
like a few to pick from, and then it's like we're obviously not developers, and developers like there's limitations within the engine and stuff. Like
Yeah,
they still haven't
not
fixed
every
the fact
not
that
every
if
solution
you,
is feasible.
Yeah, like they still haven't been able to fix that if you crouch in the air, your hitbox just jumps up, which for snipers is like the not press control not to get headshot button. If you know the
Yeah,
timing
basically.
right, which is like an issue. They sort of fixed it. But it's like imagine if you have a truck full of shit and the shit is the crouch jitter, and then you remove all of the shit except two, so you can take two shits in the air. Where am I
sounds-
going with this? Anyway,
That sounds unpleasant.
yeah. So yeah, but basically, I think we all can agree that like you need better representation of the flamethrower. So,
Yeah, especially with the balance changes sort of shifting Pyro closer to wanting to use the flamethrower more.
Yeah.
You know, if Valve wants to push Pyro to use that, they should probably focus on making I think even before making any balance changes, like make it so that the flames visually matter, and then they'll be able to gather a lot more accurate data based
Yeah.
on how people are actually using it.
Yeah. like they said for years about competitive. We need more data.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
So if Pyro's to be used competitively, like
yeah,
if they want to be taken seriously, that would be a good start.
Yeah. So to me, Pyro has always been my worst class because it's so far away from the way I play. Because you have to be in close and patient, and you also don't have a lot of health. And heavies with this
Guns blaze
means, oh, you got ammo for me, bro? Give me that ammo. And I go pick up the ammo. So for me, I said this before, like, pyros don't have an oh shit factor. Like, oh shit, a pyro. When do you ever say that? Well, you do now when there's a flog guy. That's the only time. But, like, if it's not a flog, he's just like, oh, walking ammo pack. Let me just pick that up. Like, every other class has, like, an oh shit factor. Like, suddenly, like, you get hit from the back with a scatter shot, and you're like, oh shit, scout, and then you're dead.
Yeah.
Or you look up and you see, like, a soldier, and like, there's a soldier up there. And then he kills you. Or you walk around a corner and you see a sticky trap. And you're like, fuck, oh shit. Or you walk into a sentry, or you see a sniper, or you get stabbed, or an Uber, or anything. Every other class has an oh shit factor. Pyro doesn't. It's like, oh, look at that guy. It's Mr. Minor Inconvenience.
Until they flog, and then you're like, oh, I guess I should run.
Yeah,
which makes flog.
Like, I think at a higher levels, like, flog isn't really that hard to deal with. Like, if you're a heavy, like,
Absolutely
oh, you're on
not.
the flog, all right, let me just
You
back
just
up.
shoot them.
Just back up a little bit and then shoot you before you come to me. Yeah, but the flug is OP. It's way too easy to use compared to your results. But that's not the topic. But what I wanted to talk about next, I think we've covered what's wrong with the flamethrower. I think everybody understands the issue there. And of course,
it's not real.
It's not real. It just looks real. How can flames be real if the particles aren't real? No, wait, how's it go? How can flames be real if our eyes aren't real? Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work.
That's the Jaden Smith quote right there.
So Valve has to make our eyes real first.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, you can quote that. Valve needs to make our eyes real. Yeah.
Then finally we can have mirrors in TF2.
Right. So what I wanted to talk about next is basically, because you play Pyro a lot, basically what kind of loadouts you find. Like, I had an episode or a show called Dominant Loadouts before. I haven't really done much more of those. But with Pyro right now, with the current changes, if you were just to give like some blind tips, I can bring up the menu here so you can pick the loadout. So what would you say is like the most dominant all-around proper loadout for Pyro at this moment? And I'm not talking just for high competitive. I'm talking in general, high competitive and in pub and everywhere, pretty much.
Everywhere. Well, since I play mostly competitive these days, I'm a little bit biased towards the degreaser shotgun, now that flare gun is a little bit changed, and the power jack.
All right.
Although, if you look in any pub, you're going to find a bunch of flogs anywhere. So maybe flog is the new overall meta for TF2.
With that thing, so.
You can't air blast, that's true. And air blast is extremely powerful and valuable, so...
Yeah, and it's also been more expensive to use the air blast now with the degreaser, because the degreaser used to be just straight upgrade, pretty much. Because it's more like what I would like to call tech. God fucking damn it! Like I would like to call like more technical, because it would you would utilize secondary unlocks more. Like you would just light them on fire, and then you would do stuff like you would do burst damage with the shotgun or flare gun or reverse shooter. Reserve. I keep saying reverse. Or like you do the puff and sting, or whatever. Like the thing you did the most with Pyro was not burning people with the flamethrower. Essentially, was what you were doing. So Pyro needs to have like basic Pyro with the stock loadout should be all about burning people.
Yes.
Yeah, and not being like gimmicky air blast, trick shot.
Although you can kind of do that with the reserve shooter, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, that's like the dominant loadout. Like all of the classes got like faster weapon switch now, which is great. Which completely breaks the power jack, because you can do power jack jumps now. And in case you don't know, if what those are, it's basically like Gru jumping. Before, you basically run, and as you're on the ground, you jump, and then you switch to flamethrower while you're in the air, and as you land, you switch again. So you maintain the speed, but you're basically just holding the flamethrower, like we can see here. used to be like you could do this before, but it's even better now, and you don't have to use the degreaser for it. I mean, I use it all the time. Speaking
it's
of
very
like the
valuable.
weapon switches, there's a lot of stupid ones. Like you can negate like basically the fist of steel if you just go instead of going like fist of steel minigun. Oh, it takes a while to holster. But if you go like fist of steel sandwich minigun, it's faster.
Yeah.
Because it's the sandwich is slower holstering, and then it's like, oh well, I have to slower holster the minigun. But you don't have to complete the holstering for this to go over. So either I have to change it so you have to like the holster penalty is until you've completely holstered a weapon. So you can't just the same with like the half sight Toichi and like the other weapons that have that ability. You can just press 2-1 on your keyboard and it's just as fast.
Yep. And you can switch weapons so quickly that you can like, for example, if you were scout, you could fire a scattergun shot, switch to the wing or jump, and then switch back to the scattergun, and then fire another shot without any penalty in how fast you can fire.
Yeah, because basically you press 2 as you jump, and then as soon as you hit 2, you hit 1 again. So you switch back. So you like switch. Yeah, it's like super fast. So technical.
It's pretty hard to do actually.
Yeah.
But it's definitely doable.
Yeah. So I think a lot of weapons in general should have the effect they have when they're fully deployed, and not when you're switching to them.
No, don't take away my power jack. I need power jack.
Keep crying, baby.
It's so fun and versatile.
Yeah, I mean, like no, but I mean, like the power jacks that you only run faster when you hold it up fully, and not when you're holstering it. I guess.
Is that true? I don't think so.
No, you like as soon as you hit 3, you will run faster.
Yes, that is exactly how.
So I mean, like you should run faster when you've done rising it up and you're actually holding it and you're ready to swing with it. And that goes for like all.
I've got a bone to pick with you, but that's okay.
Look, I'm the balanced dude here. I want to make it fair for everybody. All right. But is there any other like would you ever like say, oh, this now is the time for a back burner? I really got to use the back burner now.
Oh God, no.
No. Okay. So there's never a reason to use the back burner ever.
You just use flog. You get reliable crits that way.
Yeah, because I'm like. I want to think like all unlocks have a place and a use, but there's no reason to use the back burner ever.
Yeah.
There's like no reason why. It's like the fire axe, that thing. I bet your fire axe has like a ton of dust on it. I bet you like it's in your inventory. It's like never been used, and like it needs to have a place. Like all weapons needs to be useful for something. But it's like you have the shovel for a soldier, and you have your fire axe, and you got these fists. And then you have the medic's bone saw, which is like the unlocks that, like the stock ones that never ever get used.
Most melees I feel like most stock melees tend to be that way.
Oh well, the scouts one's pretty good. Spies one is great. Snipers so great. Engineers great. So
it kind of depends on the class. Like,
but I think
melee
like out
weapons
of
that they
all
have.
the stock unlocks that aren't used, I think fire axe is the least used.
Oh yeah, we have a direct upgrade with the 3rd degree, I believe.
Yeah.
So
what if you could throw it? If you right click and you fucking hurl that shit.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Pyro with a projectile that.
Like imagine this: you use the degreaser, right? You pay attention.
Oh yeah.
You use the degreaser. You light them on fire. You launch them up. You shoot them with your flare gun, and before they land, you hurl the fire axe at them. Because the things like
so cool.
Pyro has a main weapon that basically is like an extended range melee weapon. So for him to have a melee weapon, you don't really always need that. And you can be like a recharger. So there you go, Valve. Free tip: throwable fire axes in 2016.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to tomahawk somebody from across the map.
It's only Scout that gets that that thing. So so basically it's either degreaser or flog. What about the regular, like, because I use the regular flamethrower a lot, and I find that I did just fine, but I'm also a shit pyro. Like, I'm so bad at it.
Oh, you can't be that bad.
Oh, because here's the thing, right? Because the firing speed of a rocket launcher is the same as a compression blast timing, right?
It's actually a little bit slower.
What is slower?
The rockets are slower. So it takes 0.8 seconds per rocket shot, and it takes about 0.75 or so for an air blast.
A vast ocean of time window right there. No, because like whenever I miss a rocket and I miss the timing, I miss all of them. It's like I can never catch up. but I guess that's
Yeah,
fine.
if you miss the first rocket, you probably have to skip the second one too.
Yeah.
And
if
that,
you
and that can mean
bazooka,
you're dead.
you're fucked.
Oh yeah.
Or
for
airstrike.
sure.
It's like, good luck, fucker. Heard you like rockets. How about 8 of them in a row?
Oh yeah, and also with the air blast, if you switch your weapons after you air blast, and then try to switch back, your air blast comes out much slower. It goes from about 0.7 or so seconds to 1 full second that you have to wait between air blast after you switch weapons.
Probably goes on pause when you're switching weapons or something like that. It's probably like a timer that gets paused.
Yeah, and it's like the only. It's the only. Well, even if you have your weapon out for just a tiny, 1 frame in the game, it'll slow your weapon down, or you'll slow your air blast cooldown. So, that doesn't happen for any other class as far as I know, where switching weapons will slow or will make a cooldown longer. So I think that's a bug. But.
Yeah, I think it's a bug. It's probably like some waiting mechanic or something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of other classes have because that's a passive reload, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of other classes have passive reload. Like, it shouldn't slow you down. So
Hopefully
that gets fixed. It's like a minor thing. I don't think it's the end of the world, but
it's a major thing, actually.
Okay, it's the end of the world, people. Listen,
it's
he
not
said
the
it.
end of the world, but it's major because if you switch weapons at all, especially if you use degreaser, but it even affects stock flamethrower. If you switch weapons after air blasting and then try to air blast again, it takes longer to air blast. So that means that you can't reflect continuous rocket fire.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Anymore.
So it's a huge issue then. So see, that's why I brought you on, because you know this much better than I do, because Pyro is the class I have the least experience with, but it's also the class I think needs the biggest of reworks because he's just so weak compared to the other classes, and he needs an oh shit factor that isn't the flog.
Pyro can be very strong in the right hands, but it requires a mistake on the enemy player's part to where they have to enter your range.
Because Pyro used to be is labeled as an offense class, but if you run in the front, you will just die because of your range. So he's more support than anything.
Until you run flog.
Until you run flog, then you're.
Maybe flog is.
People write stories about you on the internet. I was like, that fucking flog user. There's also some people like I don't play competitive anymore. I mean, I used to play UGC Platinum in Europe way back in some. I don't remember the Div 4, Div 3 in Europe, but I had a point with this. But yeah, I never encountered once I ever encountered a Pyro that I didn't see as a walking health pack, not once. And right now I play on like community servers where we basically feel like my viewers and like others really good players like that have been high competitive. So we basically there's like 2 teams of 12 with basically just really high level players. So it's like the ultimate pub experience. It's way more fun than lobbies because lobbies are just awful in comparison because people are way worse. So that's like where I get most of my plays. Like people that could be in high end competitive, but we just play pubs instead. And I just
really
find that it's super fun.
You gotta invite me to one of those.
Yeah, sure. I can invite you that, and you can like try to be a Pyro, and you can experience how much you're gonna fucking die. To like everybody's like goes heavy and stuff because you can do fun stuff.
Oh god, don't worry, I know that feel all too well.
So speaking of competitive players, we're gonna go into the last point of this podcast, which is basically like how leagues have their own, I guess you could say, elite of people. That's like the top tier players or the leaders, and they decide what should be banned and what shouldn't be. Because also, a lot of competitive players, they have a very, like I said before the podcast, they have a narrow view of how to fix a problem. Like, if you get wet, then you dry yourself. Obviously, that's the issue. That's the solution, right? Because I get wet, I dry myself. It's like, okay, how about not fucking jumping in the water in the first place then so you don't get wet? It's like, oh, well, didn't think of that. That's just a very bad example. But, like, sometimes you have to fix the cause and not the issue when it occurs.
Not just, like, remove the issue. Removing the issue isn't really efficient, and I'm thinking removing the issue is banning a weapon. Is that what this analogy is kind of?
Yeah, it's basically like removing a weapon doesn't solve the issue that the weapon is broken. It's still going to be broken. You're just not going to use it. Oh well, you solved that problem, didn't you? Now, genius.
When maybe you could find a way to work around the weapon.
Yeah.
And things like counter strats and the like.
Yeah, basically, and this also like because I cast a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason in TF2 community is like, oh, if neither team has an advantage, nothing happens. Oh. Well, if we don't have an advantage, and they don't have an advantage, we're on equal playing field. That means at any point in time, we can attack, and the stakes will be the same, but we don't, so we wait. What? Because I played on like when I played on a team, whenever it was like, oh, we don't have an Uber, they don't have an Uber, fucking attack, and like 9 out of 10 times it would work, surprisingly, because but that's just like how metas and stuff are. Like people are like, no, we need that Uber, we need that.
Yeah, it depends on the team you play. Sometimes and the situation too. Like if you're pushing into a last point and there's like a sentry or something, maybe you want the Uber, maybe you want to wait to get that, or try to get, maybe you want a pick, so maybe you want to kill their sniper or kill their engineer or kill their heavy or something first before you move in, and in the process you might be building Uber. So sometimes patience has its virtues when you're kind of in an even situation, because then you can create an advantage for yourself by waiting for an opportunity, but that can be kind of boring too. So
like especially 5 CP on Highlander, there's a lot of teams that don't necessarily see that they might have a slight advantage, but like just basic stuff when it comes to defending is that, like if you look at army, like I've been in the army, and it basically like if there's one guy on top of a hill, you need 3 guys to take down that one guy, because defending is so much easier than attacking, especially if you have the high ground and stuff like that. So if you're going like, okay, that means if they're defending last, we need 3 of every class to be able to properly take this, but that's not gonna happen.
Absolutely not.
So
you're not going to increase your player count.
It's like, oh, they're on last, allow all the subs in, and you can go, no, you can't do that. So there's like, that just goes for the map. There's a lot of maps where like the last needs to be a bit easier to push, like more high ground advantage for those who attack and stuff like that. Yeah,
generally in Highlander, I feel like especially the last points are always the slowest one. It depends on the map, but in general, I feel like for most maps, the last point is where things kind of slow down. But if you have like a map like a Gully Wash, basically any point, everything can slow down too. So
pretty much, and that's also the thing. Like with balance, is that like if I'm an engineer and I spend like 20 or 30 seconds to make a level 3 sentry, I block that area, and as long as I'm there, you can't pass. Like fuck you. And this is my area. The same with the demo man. If he spends the time, like let's say with the Scouter's Resistance, and he's somehow a genius with that thing, and he plays 14 sticks in an area, you're not going to get past that very easily because he took the time to block that area off. It's basically like I put a minefield into this area, and then the enemy team's like, okay, how do we attack the minefield? You don't attack a minefield.
It's like generally in maps they have different entrances and exits. Sort of into locations. So
there's like a basic
you can cover them.
A principle with what makes a good map, and that is like 3 to 4 entrances, and the longer route gives high ground advantage. The end. That's like the simplest formula. And there's a lot of maps that don't have that, and therefore are bad. Like Dust Bowl. Hey, you like this long hallway?
And some you used to play some really bad custom maps where there's like one wide corridors, very long. Those are pretty fun, actually.
If you're a demo man on defense, it's the best map ever.
Or just a sniper. They can't move left and right, so you just get shot.
Exactly. So I think we diverted from that. What I want to talk about is like the elite leaders deciding what to do. And I remember I think one of the first podcasts I had a few years ago when Pledge was still active. He was a Sixes caster for Vanilla TV when they were still around. He basically said whenever competitive leaders like decide on unlocks, they want stuff that helps them win games, or rather, they remove stuff that causes a slowdown, like I talked about. Like you create a minefield, or you create like a sentry, or you decide we're not going anywhere, like we're bunkering down. Which is, you should be allowed to do that. Like if you look at any sport, the team that has an advantage can just decide like, nope, we're just going to stay here and wait it out and win. And that's a totally legit tactic if you already have an advantage. It's called extending your advantage, but not necessarily getting any points. Is what I mean. Like you can win let's say if you're like, oh, we play 5 CP, we win 1 round, and then the engineer just goes level 3 sentry and bunker down and turtle, and we're not going anywhere, but we can't win either. So you're just extending the advantage you already took. I mean, might not be the best game to watch, but it's a valid tactic.
And maybe not even to play. Like it might not be as fun.
Yeah, but it's about winning, right?
I think one thing is that TF2 competitive is still rooted in let's have fun. And so we have leagues that kind of decide things, and they consult their top players based on, is this fun? And that might change with matchmaking coming out, because Valve is going to be able to balance things
You think? I think matchmaking is going to be a fucking disaster.
Oh, is that so?
Have you played a lobby?
Yes.
Do you know the issues of lobbies?
The players?
Yeah. And what does it take to? This is like I'm like a fucking first grade teacher here, like asking questions I already know the answers to.
I need it.
Okay. Listen. Okay, so the people who go to lobbies, how much effort do they put into getting to the lobbies? Like, if I'm in a pub and I don't know anything about TF2, what does it take for me to get to a lobby?
You push some buttons and you type in the address. So
well, I don't know the address because I don't know it exists.
Oh, well, yeah. Then I guess you don't go to the lobby.
Well, yeah, that's most people. They don't know it exists, but at some point, someone will mention a lobby, and I will go, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?" And then I have to actively quit the game, or alt tab or whatever, go on the internet and actively look for it. So I made an effort to go out of my way to find this place to play. Right? It's like go out of my way, and then the lobbies are fucking terrible, and that's people with effort, people who have actively sought this out, go there, and then you get matchmaking. And it takes no effort to get there. So we already know that a little bit of effort are like awful people. So then you have no effort people, and it's just going to suck. It's going to be a mess. Not because of the system. The system might be great, but just the players are just so fucking terrible. I think later it will be fine, but in the first half year, it's going to be a disaster like no other. It's just going to be awful all over.
Oh yeah, and depending on how they sort of the skill of the players, it might, if they do it well, maybe you can have some good games.
Yeah, I think like if you do like a really harsh one where you lose points and you win points, but you don't necessarily see your points, so it's not disarming. But
interesting.
Like because the way it's going to work in the beginning is that like everybody who wins the first round, the second time around they play, they're going to have to play all the people that won the second round, and then going on and on. Like if you lost the first round, you play against other people who lost the first game of the season, and then like it just goes on, and like it evens out the more you play.
Yeah.
So
it's over time.
So speaking of like the elite competition, you managed there was like a balance, because I have something called CBA, Community Balance Advisors, and that's my group, that's my crew. Valve has implemented, like in the gunmetal update, like 45% of all the changes were taken directly from me or either inverted. Like it was basically like taking what I suggested, just tweaking it just a little bit, but it still did the same thing. Like what I mean is like the eviction notice. I was like, all right, slow on hit. When I punch somebody, they get slowed. And they're like, no, when you punch somebody, you run faster. It's like, okay, it's the exact same thing. I run at the same speed they do when I punch them. Yeah. So that, but not so much tough break. It only was a few things, and actually none of mine, but it was people in my community that got featured with direct fixes, like the Crikey meter for the Cleanish Carbine was taken from there, but not a lot. So yeah, speaking of, you had a Pyro balance thing going on. What was that all about?
A Pyro balance thing going on? You mean what I mentioned earlier with my other Pyro friends?
Yes, only.
Yes.
Sounds so cool. Like, you know, me and my other Pyro friends, like we were hanging out, just burning shit.
Yeah, we did hang out and burn stuff for a little bit actually. Some buddies of mine who are also top of, they're the league that they're in, the respective league. So we have players like Steve from Europe, and Jay and T-Son from Australia, Hiri from Japan, Satan and Katsy and Spyro and myself. We're kind of working on a document with compiling our thoughts and our concerns about Pyro. Because we played a lot, we have a lot at stake. This is really fun for us. So we're just the first and foremost is we're not suggesting balance changes per se. We just want to share like what are our concerns about Pyro. Like what are the main issues. The biggest one was Flamethrower. Exactly. We also feel like some of the changes were kind of lowering the skill ceiling of Pyro. So we're afraid that it will continue that way. And there's lots of other like details and bugs that we know a lot and affect us a lot that probably don't necessarily affect other players. But since we play Pyro so much, we see it all the time. Like when you air blast a projectile and it kind of goes backwards and kills you.
Or when I'm a soldier and the Pyro is behind me and I shoot the air blast.
Exactly.
It's like, weird stuff like that. The thing is, like, I really like, that's the stuff I'm all about. Like, small changes that isn't really that big of a deal. Like for me, I'm like a sniper main, so I knew like all the issues with like the things that affected sniper, but that's like very much like a very advanced, what you call almost like elitist view, because like you only see that if you only play sniper and nothing else. So the things you're talking about, the Pyro, I never knew that because I don't play Pyro. So there you go. Like for example, I really whined and bitched about a lot that you as a sniper, after firing a shot, you could jump out of scope, right? Because that would really, it would make, basically if you shot like an idiot and you just missed completely and you just shot willy-nilly, the other sniper could not punish you because you would be in the air and you'll be jittering up and down, and if he hit you, it would just be luck or whatever.
Yeah, or
but they implemented that after I like told everybody to send them an email to say them to fix that. So you got like thousands of emails saying fix this, and then they did. Power of crowd control. But if you guys flesh out something and I look at it and I'm like, yeah, this makes total sense, well, you're gonna send that shit to Valve and get that fixed right up.
Yeah, and we are making an open letter, like in the form of an open letter, and then later we're gonna do a roundtable, and we're sitting at a roundtable right now, so that's kind of
I really like the idea, like when you get like all the experts of one class, because there's going to be like speaking of Steve, he has a very different look on Pyro than you do. And also like when I talk to other Pyros, it seems like Pyros have very different ideas of what Pyro should be like, but I think Pyro should be all about burning people at the core, and then you could like branch off to do more advanced stuff, like
it's like subclasses.
Yeah, like subclasses, like no. Fuck Demo Knight. It's like, we take the class that's all about explosives and projectiles, and we remove all of that.
And it's fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's fun, but it shouldn't be there. Like, if you talk about class integrity.
Maybe make... Oh, sorry about that. Maybe make Demo Knight on Pyro. Ooh.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be fun. Close range.
It's like if you take any other class, like imagine if you took Pyro and you removed the Flamethrower. That would be stupid, right? Yeah, imagine if they took Demo and removed all his bombs. What?
Well, I think whatever's fun works. Like, and sometimes I feel like not everything has to be effective all the time. I feel like that's not it's inherently impossible with some styles of weapons. But there's some niches for them, of course.
Yeah, like it also ties back to balance. Like there should always be like a rock paper scissors thing, where you have something that counters stock, and then you have something that counters the thing that countered stock, and then stock would counter the thing that countered to stock, if you follow that.
I get it.
So, like, one issue there is, like, there's, like, a big thing.
You have a diagram back here, too, that you can...
Yeah, and if you see there, it's a dot, and over here is another dot, and all the dots make a line, and then you have Illuminati right there.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. Like, for instance, like the Razorback, for instance, like, let's say he runs SMG, which is like an overall, the one I use as a sniper. Like, oh, it's overall pretty deathmatch heavy, you can turn out a lot of damage. Oh, I got stabbed. All right, I'm going to counter the stab. And the spy comes around and he's like, oh, I got an ambassador. Oh, shit, he is overhealed. Doesn't work. Fuck. So, like, for instance, spy would need a weapon that is anti-Razorback, but then also doesn't work against something else, like let's say a zapper. Like, oh, you can fuck with snipers with the Razorback, but sentries, you can't fuck with those anymore, so you have to pick which one you use, and stuff like that. And
depending on the situation, you might be able to switch between them.
And also, like, if you have the Darwin Danger Shield, this is an example, because this is the stuff I know the most about, because I'm a sniper main, and this is I most do, because, like, Razorback protects you against one backstab, the end. But the way it works is kind of like, because spy is a counter to sniper, and you should be able to counter, because that's like Razorback counters the stock of the spy, and then the spy has an unlock that sort of counters the Razorback, kind of, but not really if the sniper is protected, because with the regular backstab, if he's protected and overhealed, you can stab him and kill him.
Yes.
So you also have what I like to call, like, you have death and you have effective death, which the first death is actually, you're not actually dead, but you won't be able to do anything in the time this happens. Like, if you throw Girardi, there's like a couple of seconds where you don't have a secondary, right? Yeah. So your output is lowered in that time, stuff like that. So I'm hoping to learn more about that for the Pyro, so we know exactly what direction to suggest. An
example of that particular thing would be the Spicicle and Dead Ringer.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at catching spies to begin with, but if you catch a spy in your flames,
the spy, like,
the Dead Ringer, they just leave. They just run away, and you can't chase them. They're so fast.
Yeah, what I think is a problem with that is that goes for just the balance. If you as a spy get lit on fire, you are fucked. Like, regardless of what you do, you're fucking screwed. Like, the way I would want the bicycle to work is it's just an extinguish, right?
Yeah.
So if you're burning me with the flamethrower and I extinguish myself, I'm gonna catch fire right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's sort of like if the pyro let you kind of
work.
get away, and then you can extinguish yourself to sort of complete that where you got away because the pyro kind of failed to catch you or the team failed to shoot you.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure the spy mains would have the thing to say about that.
Yeah, well, spy mains. I mean, the spy has a lot of really broken stuff like the red tape recorder.
Get Stabby on here.
Oh. Maybe.
You
see him? Maybe he's already here. That's the thing about spies. Like, you never know if they're here or not. If he's on our team, you can't see him.
I can't even see my flame sometimes. There we go.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's not here, I guess.
I guess not.
Yeah,
he's running Spicicle. That's fine.
Yeah. And I also think, like, Pyro should be a bit stronger in, like, if I'm as a heavy and you're already starting burning me, then I have a problem.
And you haven't spun up.
Yeah, and also, like, I found a way, like, because Pyro is, like, instant damage, right? You click and you burn and they take a steady stream of damage, right?
Yeah, streaming.
Yeah, but it could be pretty difficult to, like, if people are clumped together, that's when you burn them, and that's when Pyro really shines, because there's, like, really no limit in how many you can hurt that stand inside each other, right?
Yeah.
You do the same amount of damage. So I actually had like, I'm really all for random crits in public play because I think they're funny, and it's, like,
I agree.
It's great for new players that would otherwise always lose and never win. Like, you get that one crit rocket that kills half the enemy team and you get all your revenges at once. It's, like, the best feeling in the world.
It's the great equalizer and also the great destabilizer.
Yeah, so it goes both ways. But I can tell you, I told this before, but I can tell you my greatest story of random crits, which I still remember to this day. And I was playing Pyro at the time, so this is why it's relevant.
Excellent.
So we were playing on Vel. It was 2007. Enemy team had a dispenser up top, and everybody was around it. So I ran up top and jumped over the what do you call, like, the hole in the ground that they used to build sentries on top of. On Well, you know what I'm talking about, like at the top floor above the spawn.
Oh yeah, I think I remember what that is. But I don't remember what it's called.
It's like you have on the second point on this CP version. There's like two floors. It's like the second and the third floor. And they were on the third floor, and I jumped across, and I was like, oh, nobody's here. And I turned around, and I saw them all near a dispenser, and it was like a medic, a heavy, 2 soldiers, a demo, pretty much half their team. And I just held down left click, and all of them dead in like a second.
Crit.
And I laughed hysterically, and I still remember it to this day.
That's very fun.
Yeah. So I had another fix for Pyro that I wanted to suggest, like a couple of ones that I have been thrown around. I'd like to get your opinion on it.
Sure.
Pyros, except we were talking minus the flog at this point, lacks an oh shit factor, right? If I see a Pyro and I'm a heavy, I just shoot you and kill you, no problem.
As long as you're revved up.
But have you seen the thing?
And even if you're not revved.
Yeah, have you seen if you turn around? Do you see what you have on your back there?
Spellbook.
That's a yeah.
Oh no,
that's a fucking propane tank.
Yeah.
What happens in all other games when you shoot a propane tank?
Boom.
Yeah. Why doesn't yours? So I would like to see, like, if Pyro gets killed by explosions or shot in the back or something, that upon death, everyone just catches fire and takes 50 flame damage. Like, you just
takes a burst.
You basically like light everybody on fire that's around you in a certain radius. It could be like explosion radius similar to a rocket. So that means if you're a Pyro and you just run into a bunch of people and you die, you still light them on fire. That's like one thing. So I mean, like, if you just go in and suicide, it's like, oh shit, Pyro, pff, oh god, like, because there's a lot of times people know, like, oh, I can take this much damage. There's a lot of times when I run into a Pyro and I'm like, oh, I have like 2 health left, ha ha ha, he died. But then he will be the only class that you have to watch out for when you kill him. Like, if a spy comes and, like, that would be really broken if a spy comes and stabs the propane tank and he just explodes. But that's why I mean, like, it should only like be on.
So Pyros would no longer really be good.
Yeah, because I think like the issue is pretty much like for Pyro's counters, which or soft counters, which is the soldier and the demo. Because if you have a soldier and a demo with well, not so much scout, I think.
Well, if they're good.
Well, yeah.
If they're good. If they're not good, then no.
If they're as good as you is always the thing. Like, if a scout that is as good a scout as you're a Pyro, it will be like 50-50 depending on the situation. But I think like for soldiers, it's very easy to just kill pyros if they miss the air blast. But now with the fact that they catch fire upon death, you have to be more careful when you kill the pyro. And he has that
where your positioning is.
And another thing that I had an issue with is that like sometimes I can flank the enemy. Let's say I'm using the regular flamethrower and I just burn everybody, but they like the demo man jump away because they have overheal and there's like 2 medics, and I just keep burning and burning and burning and burning, and but they don't die. You've had that happen, right? You just keep burning and you don't do anything but burn and you hit them.
Even with the buff.
Yeah. So what I would suggest is that if a player has been burning for X amount of seconds and you burn them again, you hurt them more, right? So you would like a player that has been burning and the afterburn is almost over. If you burn them again, they take even more damage from your current fire because they're already
so
on
like
fire.
If you have 2 pyros, maybe they can work together. One pyro kind of goes in and then...
No, I mean basically let's say like... Yeah, if you have 2 pyros, right? One pyro comes out and he burns everybody, and the demo he burns is like, back to full overheal, the flames are almost over. And then the second, like, it's been a pause in direct flame contact, then the second pyro, or the same pyro, whatever, lights him on fire again, then it does more damage, like mini crits or something, because you already have that function with the flare gun. Oh, you're already on fire? Here's another fire, and you're hurt even more now. So that would be like, people would be being, like, big on afterburn these days is just slight inconvenience. Like you would just go to health pack or go to a dispenser and you're fine. But what if you're at the dispenser and a pyro comes around and you're like, oh shit, and then you're dead. So that would be like a couple of tweaks I would like to see experimented on, or at least know the results from. Because that would give the pyro like an oh shit factor, like, oh yeah, I escaped that pyro, but oh fuck, there's another, and then like you just die really quickly because you've already been on fire. Stuff like that.
So here are my thoughts on your ideas. All right, you ready for this?
Is it a no and a no?
Maybe it's kind of
okay.
I'll give you respect for your idea. So like the thing with the pyro exploding on death, with the propane tank kind of blowing up. I'm not too sure if I like that idea, mostly because you're being punished for doing your job of killing the pyro, and I don't know if there should be. I mean, maybe it could be Spire specific, so maybe that could work. But
yeah, I'm thinking like an unlock.
Yeah,
not
okay.
like stuck. So you swap something away for having that ability.
That's it. Okay,
I forgot to mention that. That's
I thought that was like
the biggest
for
thing.
all pyros. I was gonna say. Okay, as an unlock, depending on what you're replacing, if you're replacing your secondary, for example,
yeah, I think secondary would be the one, or you could have like a melee unlock that is a propane tank.
Ah, okay. Yeah. That you can throw.
Maybe. I would also like to see Pyro get some gasoline stuff, so you could basically like make traps on the ground and like light them on fire. Like you could just make a small area and like.
Now you're making it too complicated.
Oh, Pyro's... it's too hard for you. Well, let's keep it in WM1.
Let's just burn.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if it's an unlock, would it be interesting? It would sort of be like the soldier's parachute in a way. It's like super different compared to the rest.
This goes to sort of what like your situation is like. If we implement that and your idea with Afterburn, you can increase damage. If there's 2 pyros, one can suicide in on a bunch of people, and then the next can do a bunch of damage on them with the flamethrower with the Afterburn. But if it's just 1 pyro, I don't know if that's really that big a deal, because it might do some area effect 50 damage, and that could be good in some cases. But the Afterburn it's no longer an issue if you have a medic. If you don't have a medic, then it's really situational. Like depending on, if you're playing competitive in this environment on this map. So it's hard to judge that. But I'm not sure if I like that. Just because I think you should be rewarded when you kill the pyro. Yeah. Like he's dead. Not punished.
It might be one of those where it's a good idea, but it might not work in practice because of the way TF2 works. But what about the Afterburn? Thing, like, because I'm talking about a ramp up where if I think like this needs to be tested and stuff like that if it ever gets implemented, but like it's only until the last stages of Afterburn the extra damage kicks in if they get hit a second time with fire.
Okay.
So it's like as it is like because how long is Afterburn? Isn't it like 10 seconds or something?
10 seconds.
Yeah, 10 seconds. So let's say from like 7 like from 7, 8, 9, and 10, it has a ramp up in additional damage you take from being lit on fire again.
Interesting.
So it means like if you've been burnt and it's a slight, like as only a few seconds stop before you light on fire, it's the same. But
and is this an unlock? or would it be for
could be, or
all
just
pyro?
in general, because I'm talking about that oh shit factor, because it could be
Okay.
like, oh, I almost escaped this pyro. I have a lot of health left. I'm still on fire, and Jesus Christ, there's another one. Oh fuck, and then like you burn because you've already been burning for a while, and I'm like, this is what I meant with the time. Like I've been running and burning people forever, and nobody has died because like I just can't focus properly or something. But once again, I'm not a pyro main, but that's like the issues I've had. It's like, well, I keep burning them, but nothing happens.
You gotta learn how to aim your little boxes.
Oh, shut up. Yeah.
I think that could be useful depending on the situation again. Like if you have two pyros, I think that becomes more powerful.
Yeah.
Does it come into effect if you've been burning someone continuously for 7 to 8 seconds? I imagine they should die after 7 to 8 seconds of burning somebody.
Maybe it should, yeah.
Like
or maybe
Fist
not.
of Steel heavy, overheal. But I think it depends. I think that relies primarily on having more than one pyro, because if the first pyro lights you up, and then one of two things is going to happen. You're going to kill the pyro, or one of three. You're going to kill the pyro.
Of course,
the pyro's going to kill you.
Pyros are weak.
I can talk more about that. Depends on the situation again. But three things can happen. Right? You're going to kill the pyro. He's going to kill you, or you both kind of run away. You escape from each other.
Yeah.
Right. But if you live in that situation, you're going to have afterburn, right?
Yeah.
So in one of the situations, you're both leaving each other, right? You both have left the battlefield. You're on afterburn. The pyro who lit you on fire is no longer near you.
Yeah.
So he's not as big of a threat anymore because that's not his range. And the other situation, you kill the pyro and you have afterburn. The pyro's dead, so he can't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So in half of the situations where you escape from a pyro and you're on fire, it's worthless unless there's another pyro. And the other half is kind of depending on the map and where you're at.
Yeah.
And the mind games involved.
to make sure, like, if you're on fire and the guy who lit you on fire is still alive, he's going to be a much bigger threat than if you just killed him.
Okay. And after like 10 or seconds or so, 7 to 10 seconds, that could be enough time for where they could re-engage.
Yeah, let's say like you wait for like a health pack and you're on fire and it approaches the 7-second mark and then the pyro comes out and he shoots a flare and it does like, instead of 90 it does like any kind of like fire doing damage. So then like the flare wouldn't do 90, it would do like 120 or something.
Okay, and would this work with like medics and dispensers? They put you out faster.
Yeah, they put you out faster, but like it wouldn't.
Would the effect not come into play, or would it come into play in the last moments?
That's the thing. Like you had to test this, but basically it's like if you've been burning for a while, the second time you get ignited, you die faster, pretty much.
Okay.
Because like when you're on fire, it's kind of your job to get put out, and there's enough sources on maps and other classes like Girardi, Mad Milk, other pyros and stuff. So it's not really an issue where like rarely ever when I see people the afterburn actually go out after 10 seconds without them extinguishing themselves first from some source. Especially in competitive play. Like you don't really burn for that long anyway.
Yeah, you get healed up.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
And like I can throw this.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's lots of sources to remove afterburn. I think that is probably
it would be like a small buff that isn't really that significant, I think.
And I think it would be a team buff, not a individual like pyro. One pyro is better. It becomes more than one pyro is now a little bit more dangerous. Because if it's just one pyro, it's half of the time he's dead. The other half of the time you kill.
Yeah.
And then
the
other
thing is,
half
like,
of
if
the
he
time,
doesn't light you on fire again, it does nothing, right? It's the same as before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Girardi. If I throw Girardi and hit the enemy team, but my team doesn't shoot at him, it does nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Except make their screen
You could
yellow.
Maybe like bushwalk on him or something, but again, that's mostly
Girardi and Mad Milk only does stuff if people shoot them while they're active on that effect, and it will be like the same principle with afterburn. Like you see a guy that's already burning, you should burn him some more. Is basically what I wanted to get out of it.
I can dig it if it's not towards the end of afterburn. I think if it's.
Or in general, we're not talking like a major buff, but just a slight buff. Like you do slightly more. So you're like, you're like, because Pyro, he loves shit that's on fire. It's like, you're already on fire? Here, have some more fire.
Have a flare, have an extinguisher, have some flamethrower.
Exactly.
that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm not too sure how it would work out in the different fields of TF2.
It might be one of those
I
buffs
think
where,
in
like,
Highlander specifically, it would be not even useful at all.
yeah, like it wouldn't make a difference if it was present.
Yeah.
I think, unless like you had a cow mangler soldier and then like you timed it with the flare and you like submitted
That'd be
that to
amazing.
like top 10 plays of the
But
month.
probably a little too much work for the effort.
Yeah.
And you can just get a sniper and just kill him instantly if you're in Highlander. So
Yeah, just get the sniper to do it.
yeah. I mean, that's what they do in Highlander right now.
Yeah,
So
the meta
sniper
is
will
super sniper. Yeah.
carry you.
So
Carry
speaking
you
of like
everywhere.
snipers, even though I was a sniper main, I see like the issue with snipers, like his bullets don't have travel time, which is like the biggest issue.
That would be amazing.
So
if
I
it
would
was
like to
a
see
machine.
some, like
Be
they
so
would
cool.
still be pretty fucking fast, but I would like to see some bullet time, bullet travel, so it's not like, so it's a little bit harder because right now it's a bit too easy. If
Yeah.
your aim's good.
That would take quite a while to get used to.
Well, I'm not talking like
But it would be pretty
noticeable.
interesting.
Yeah. So like, that's the thing. Like we're like coming full circle to like the elite balancing and banning stuff.
Oh
is
yeah, that was the point of this.
yeah, that was the point of this for like 13 minutes ago, where you play the class yourself, but you see the class is too strong, so you actually nerf the class you're playing yourself. And a lot of like competitive, from what I've seen from like the decisions, they don't take that into consideration that what you have might already be OP and it should be altered somehow. That's what I mean by like having like the narrow field, because the issue with the sniper is that there's no bullet travel on his bullets.
He just insta kills. He clicks on your head, and
Yeah.
if it's a good sniper, then the game is completely changed. Like
Yeah, exactly.
then it's and banning the Machina, for example, doesn't really change the sniper heavy meta.
Yeah, because the
right
thing
now.
is like, when I played sniper, when I did, and I saw someone running Machina, there really wasn't a big difference in output if they ran the Machina or the regular sniper, because that's like what I wanted to get from like the Source TV. I've been asked like I forgot his name, but the guy who made the video on Reddit about like the Machina and like why it was overpowered and like it affects 84 players in the world and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
need to
Aegis.
see the numbers to know like, is it like, because if you shoot somebody with a 173 body shot and someone cleaned them up and they're already being healed, how long does that window last before it's nullified if it was just a regular body shot like 150 when they're being healed? Or it's just like a placebo. It's like just because you take more damage doesn't mean you necessarily die faster unless someone
think,
is within a certain time window, is what I wanted to like confirm with numbers.
Yeah, getting the numbers on that.
Yeah, it's like
I think in
it's like
general-
if you're a sniper and you quick scope a heavy and he just heals up, it's like, okay, did it really matter that much?
Yeah. I think in general for competitive players, we kind of play the game of inches where every little thing we can do matters.
Yeah.
And it, depending on how you play pubs, that's how you do it too.
Oh, Aegis. What's the guy? Aegis.
Aegis.
Aegis. Yeah. Thanks, Chad.
Yeah. Yeah. So with competitive players in particular, and depending on how you play pubs, that too. But this is one thing that for sure competitive players do. They play a game of inches. Every little thing matters that you can. So that extra 20. How much damage? 23 damage. Every little bit matters, and that does matter for competitive players. So that's like, even if you go for the numbers, it's actually kind of one of those things where you have to play as one of the classes that is heavily affected for quite a while, and that's what we've been doing in Platinum to really like get a good feel. You can count numbers, get the numbers, and that's actually very helpful. That's very good. But the feeling of being at full health and then dropping down to 2 health from a body shot, and then getting chipped by a random class, or getting chipped first.
Yeah.
That is not fun.
What,
I
it
mean,
isn't?
getting body shot, it wasn't fun to begin with, but it's sort of like now you got punished even harder. And I think the biggest issue is that you got punished harder because for free, basically. The downsides to the Machina aren't very
like the way
severe.
you play, you negate the fact.
Particularly
because
in
like
competitive.
in Highlander, you're always going to know where the other sniper is, so the tracer doesn't really work. It's more like scary, I guess, especially if you missed.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but
more
like
a
that's the
warning
issue.
sign.
Like if a sniper is supposed to be weak against spies, has the Razorback, overheal, and is hanging
And the
around
Machina.
and the Machina, and like hangs around a sentry, like sniper sentry,
Yeah.
The spy can't touch him at all. Even with the ambassador, he like because of the way that the ambassador fires, he won't be able to kill the sniper and take off his overheal before he gets shot himself.
Yeah.
And that's why spy needs something to deal with the Razorback
Counter
and
the
still
Razorback.
kill the sniper or make him not be able to snipe or do anything.
Now, do you think that we should sort of ban these weapons that counter something but don't have a counter themselves? Like, do you think that it would be okay to ban the Razorback, for example, in a competitive format until we get a spy weapon that counters the Razorback, or until we get
the thing
a nerf
is,
for the Razorback?
For Valve to see the issue, they have to actually see it themselves. So if you ban the weapon that's broken, they're not going to see it's broken. They're like, why? Okay, it's broken. Why is it not broken? And they because it only happens in the top level of play, they're never going to see that it's broken in the top level of play, and therefore never ever fix it. So it's like you have to play it and then deal with that bullshit and then say, hey, we did this and there was nothing we could do. We tried everything. But then again, like, you guys didn't even allow the Beggar's Bazooka, right?
Not anymore, no.
Yeah. Beggar's Bazooka fucking annihilates the sniper with the Razorback. So, problem solved here. But it's the same with, like, the... Let's say you get, like... the enemy spy is not very good, so he's not going to be able to stab you.
Mm-hmm.
So you just run the Darwin Danger Shield, and suddenly the other sniper can't really do much.
So, here are my thoughts on sort of... You have to run it first.
Okay.
And the Razorback is currently not banned. But the Machina was just recently banned, I believe. Okay. We've been running Razorback for a very long time already in Highlander. So if we do end up banning the Razorback next season, it's not like we didn't try it. We tried it for literally the entire time that it was released.
I mean,
and so if it does get banned, then it's based on we've tried it for so long, and now we have a sniper heavy meta, and we want to sort of move away from that, because right now Razorback doesn't have a counter, like you said.
Yeah.
So that would be the reasoning behind banning it.
If it doesn't have teamwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's also a thing, like, I have a whole thing, like a reputation with like hating the Razorback since like day one. And that's what I mean with like the narrow thinking, right? It's like, oh, the spy can't stab the sniper. Oh, I guess the spy is useless now. No. The spy goes on and does something else. So if the spy isn't killing the sniper, that he can kill someone else. And I've seen this again and again, that there's been a position where if the sniper was not running the Razorback and he gotten stabbed, it would have actually been better for the team to have lost just the sniper than to have like lost the medic because of position walls. Because a lot of spies are like, they just, at this level of play, you kill what you get, basically.
Yes.
So I've seen a lot of times where the sniper's running the Razorback and the spy decides, nope, I'm going to ignore you and kill the medic and drop him the Uber. But if he didn't use it, he's like, oh yeah, free kill, whoops, and then, oh, you killed the sniper, well, now the medic has an Uber again. So that's like the counter argument. But I would like to see a season pan out without the Razorback to see if like the sniper meta changed a lot, because spies should still be able to fuck with snipers regardless of what they're running. So then like, yeah, the same with like spies being fucked while being on fire. Like the spy can try whatever he wants. If you're on fire, you're screwed, you're dead.
You lost, basically.
Yeah. It's the same like if you walk into a level 3 sentry. It's like, oh, I didn't see that. Whoops, and you're dead.
And then you're dead.
Yeah.
And most classes don't have an opportunity to escape from that.
Yeah, like, except the fact that the sentry fucking beeps and lets you know it's there.
Yeah, you should know that it's there, yeah.
So,
sound on.
Like, the only time you get killed by a sentry is because you walked into its line of fire.
Yes. Exactly.
And that's like, I remember, like, to go on a tangent here, I remember, like, I started playing competitive in Korea in 2011 because I was an exchange student at the university, so that's when I started. And then the Gunslinger came out, and I'm like, oh, sweet! Now I can be engineer and attack, because now I have this weapon that is meant for 6s. And then everyone's like, it's broken. And this is when it was broken, but at the time I'm like, well, shit. They actually went in and made a weapon for this, and you're like, no, you're not going to have it. No. Because the thing about sentries is that they don't move, right? They can't. They're stationary.
So you get out of their range and you shoot them.
Yeah. Like, the hard counter to scouts are sentries, right? Because if the scout gets killed by a sentry, it's because the scout ran into it and died. Where's this going? Anyway, I was that's when I first realized there's like, okay, there's a big gap here between developers, what they're thinking, and how the competitive players are like receiving it. Because minis right now, I think, are balanced. They should be allowed. Are they allowed in sixes? I don't think they are, because sixes community are a bunch of elitist people that ban everything they don't know. Because I don't think any one of them really plays that much pub and don't know how easy and much of like just a minor inconvenience minis entries are now. And that's the thing. Like when you start banning stuff, you don't know the other weapons that like adds more depth to the game, and you never play with it, and it's a catch-22. Like you ban everything you don't know, and you don't know it because you banned everything. What?
I think what happened was since like sixes and even Highlander, like we kind of start with a certain sort of meta.
Yeah.
And we just I don't want to speak for the sixes community, but I imagine that one of the main things is this fun? You know, does this make sense like for the way we're having fun right now? And so as a result, you get banned mini-century like practically instantly, right? So because there was no sort of official connection with Valve and things like that, people ran their leagues the way they want to.
Yep.
And so then you can have those sort of things where a weapon gets banned when maybe it needs more testing, or that way the weapon shows up and now you can change how everything works and maybe you can have fun with that. But depending on who you are, some you might want to say, let's play with it, get used to it, and work around it. Some people might say, well, we don't have to play with it if we don't want to. But let's just have fun the way we have always had fun.
Yeah.
And then there's some middle grounds too. So
yeah, I met a lot of like I was at DreamHack and I met a lot of sixes players there, and their definition of fun is very much different than my definition of fun. Like the whole thing I mean by bunkering down. Sixes players do not like people bunkering down. They don't think like. I think if they could ban level 3 sentries, they would.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like and also, just to mention this, I've mentioned this a lot, but like, neither sixes or Highlander is a good competitive format for TF2 because they both have. It's like a Venn diagram, right? Both has something the other lacks, and the other way around. Sixes is too few players to have every class represented, so you get like sixes is who's better at scout, soldier, demo, medic, the game, with sometimes sniper and spy, and the other classes very rarely.
Yeah, depending on the situation.
Yeah, depending on the situation. But it's just like, oh, you're defending? Well, use an engineer for defense, always. No exceptions. Oh, stalemate, you need to pick spy or sniper or something like that. So, but then you have the good thing is that you don't necessarily know what your opponent's running, right? So you're just like, oh, do they have a spy or sniper? We don't know. We don't know. But then you have like Highlander, where everybody is equally represented, like one of each, pretty cool. But you always know what they're running. One of each.
Yeah,
there's only one spy. So, I've talked about this a lot, but it's like, do you go for having more than 6, but less than 9, or more than 9? And the thing is, if you're going to do competitive, the more players you increase, the harder it gets.
Yes.
So that's why I play my own competitive. It's not really competitive, but competitive level player is 12v12. Because that's really fun with no limits. And I think at this point, 12 engineers beats everything. I think. If they're all good.
Engineer is really good for those kind of situations.
Yeah, but before, it was 12 demos beats everything.
Yeah.
But then the engineer got the short circuit, and it was like, haha, we win now.
And the rescue ranger and the wrangler and all those
like
other
if you have a good team of different engineers that run different loadouts, and they work together as a really synergized team, you can't beat them ever.
No, you just play a pub and there's like 2 engineers and you can't win on a snowplow or something.
Yeah, because that's a gem of a map.
Yeah.
Too confusing for you players. Anyway, I think we ramble on a lot, and I think to sum it up here, we want to see a change to the Flamethrower so that it actually does what it's supposed to do. I think we all can agree that would be best. And then perhaps
make it match the visuals.
Into an proper oh shit factor for a Pyro, other than.
I kind of want to talk about that, but I think we're running out of time.
Oh, we have as much time as we want because I make the show. Yeah, you can if you have one more. Let's finish up the last point here you want to make. Go.
Okay. If you watch Sigafu's reaction to the tough break changes when he went over Pyro, he said that, and it's something that I agreed with. Pyro is like, once you're in the range of the Pyro is actually one of the best 1v1 classes, if they're good. Like if you have Satan, or
I just wanted to add something to that.
Yeah.
If they're good is an invalid argument. They should be if they're as good as you.
Okay.
Should be the
yeah,
argument.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So that's what you have to go
So
with.
okay,
like,
so I'll modify it.
Yeah.
I'll modify it then. So if I'm as good as you,
Yep.
and you're playing like Scout or basically any class before the update, actually.
Okay.
Even heavy if you're unrevved.
Yep.
I think I can kill you if I'm in the range. I can kill you even if we're as good as each other. Like Carl, one of the best competitive heavies. He said he feared only Satan and myself.
Yep.
This was before the Tough Break update.
Yep.
Because I could kill him in a 1v1.
Yep.
And he's a heavy. Even if he's revved, there's some situations where I could still kill him.
Yeah.
Because shotgun is so powerful.
Yeah.
Or Satan's very good with his flares, so he can snipe him or peek corners in a certain way.
Yeah.
So and if you can kill a heavy, then you with 300 HP you can kill any class. If you're like as good as each other. Yeah. So.
Because heavy is the hardest class to hit, given that he's the biggest and easiest target to hit.
Yeah,
I don't think that goes for like Scout because the model is smaller. But yeah, go.
But let's Scout assume and you're in the range.
Yeah.
And you're in the range of air blast in particular. Before the update. Now after the update, I'm still sort of figuring that out. But before
Scout
the
has
update,
an additional jump he can use. So
he can use the jump, but you just shoot him with your shotgun or your flare gun, and then all his health is gone.
Yeah.
So. For 1v1s, I think Pyro was very good at that, and Sigafu agreed with that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me, because I'm pretty good at Pyro, I hope, and I play with players who are very good at their own classes, and other classes as well. And when I'm in a 1v1, I can usually kill them, and sometimes it ends up as a 50-50, but a lot of the times you get caught out and you're punished for getting into the Pyro's range.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it doesn't apply at the lower levels. I do want to say that, but at the higher levels, it does apply. But then after the update, because of the increased flame damage, it's actually, if you go by the numbers, and if you ask TMP, flamethrower combos are actually faster to kill people now. So you can 1v1 people even better.
Yep.
But I don't think that was necessary. I think that like Pyro's a 1v1 class was good enough. And the other aspects of Pyro, where you're in a team fight, that matters probably a lot more. And getting into the position of a team fight. Yeah. So, like, I forgot what the point I was coming off of was.
Something about Pyro being strong, like Sigafu's opinion of Pyro.
Yeah, like Pyro doesn't struggle at higher levels, anyways, in 1v1s, because you can use your air blast as a positioning tool, and positioning becomes very important as you progress through the ranks, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. But I think also what people don't think about is that if you're in a narrow space and you run into a Pyro, you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're a Pyro and you're in the wide open and they see you, you are fucked. So that's the thing. Like if you meet a Pyro in a closed area and he gets the drop on you and you're not prepared, you should die every time, because that's the strength of the class.
I think that is your I guess I'll just say oh shit moment. Yeah.
Yeah, oh shit.
Like that is when you get that for Pyro, is when you're out of position and you've been caught by the Pyro at close range because you let it happen. Yeah. So I think the Pyro can't force that on you. You made the mistake. So Pyro's good at punishing people. Yeah. So that is where the oh shit comes from with Pyro, is when you get punished. But because as you progress through the ranks, people make less mistakes, Pyro becomes less effective because they make less mistakes. So then that's when you stop getting those oh shit moments. Yeah. Where you didn't make the mistake and there's a Pyro in front of you, so you kill him. Yeah.
I played a lot of Tough Break since the update.
Yeah.
I have not noticed anything different with Pyro whatsoever. Like the server plan has some very amazing Pyros. They kill me whenever they would have killed me otherwise, and I actually haven't noticed at all. I also played Pyro myself. Haven't been doing any better than I normally do. So for me, in my experience with my crew, there's been like literally no change. at all.
Yeah, and I think
Like,
in the grand
haven't
scheme of
noticed.
things, that's true.
So,
Like
but you were
Pyro
trying to
is.
make a point. You think the Pyro is too good now? Is that where you
I
were?
think that in 1v1s it has improved.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to notice because it's not the biggest change in the world, but I don't think it needed to happen. That Pyro needed to be better at the 1v1s. Now kill time is faster. Technically,
Yeah.
it's hard by numbers, and so it's hard to notice that. But when the stakes are high and you're fighting burst damage classes,
Yeah.
the point, like for example, the 0.1 second slower switch speed for your own burst damage, that starts to matter because a scout fires his scattergun at 0.625 second intervals, and the 0.1 second slower switch time could mean the difference between a scout or soldier or demo man getting their burst damage out. So that's when it starts to matter, and that's when we competitive, high level competitive pyros really feel the difference. Is when we could have saved our medic with faster burst damage, or we could have killed their team faster and we would have taken less damage if we had faster burst. So that's when it starts to make a difference.
Yeah.
But that's only if you play a lot in high stakes, time sensitive situations.
Yeah.
Everything else, you're not going to feel any difference.
Yeah. It's like I'm sure I could make this counter argument. I'm sure Valve can make this counter argument. It's like, oh, you get killed too quickly as a scout when you run into a Pyro? Okay. Don't you run faster than a Pyro always?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you got killed by a Pyro as a medic? Yeah. Don't you also run faster than a Pyro? You do.
It's Power Jack, but
Oh, mine is Power Jack. Okay, shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I think it's still too early to say. Like, you need to.
And the degreaser is bugged too, so I don't have a fully formed opinion on.
Yeah, there's a lot of bugs that needs to be fleshed out. The fact that every class can switch weapons faster now is also like a huge deal that we won't really see the impact of until later when people. Because I call that utility skills, like switching around. Because now suddenly melees, especially for heavy, got a lot more viable. Like, because I'm a huge Killing Gloves of Boxing fan. And with me, getting like the kill and then switching to my crit minigun is just better than it was before. So a lot of stuff happened. But I think in order to summarize, Pyro is, especially in the community, like in the higher level community, competitive, it's for a lot of discussion, like is it too good or something, like, because I think the issue is where does Pyro stand? Like, where does the line go for what he can and can't do? Because Pyro, he, in my opinion, has been super weak since like day one. Because his main weapon has a limited range. The other classes don't.
Yeah,
and then suddenly he becomes better than he used to be. Like, in my opinion, like he used to be shit, and now he's not shit. And then he's too OP because he's not shit. We need him to be shit again.
Yeah. I think I have the same overall sentiment on that, even in competitive.
Yeah, so I think like Pyro is now more scary than before. He's not just a walking health pack ammo pack. For anyone to pick up, but he also got a nerf in the terms of like air blast. So
when you extinguish.
Yeah, so they kind of like swapped utility, like air blasting people. That's not really something you can measure in terms of damage because you just push them away.
It's positioning.
Yeah, it's positioning. So you have it's the same like speed for power argument. Like how much power do you need to lose for speed to be balanced? Like Scout's a good example of that, where you have a lot of speed, but you don't have a lot of health, but you can do a lot of damage still.
Yeah. The trifecta.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I think like it's hard to measure the hugeness of that multiple air blasts no longer control the way they do. So you can't really deny. Like if you have a dispenser and a corner, you can't deny him forever anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's pretty tough.
Yeah, I think that was it.
See the small changes.
Unless you have something else you want to add, like a conclusion maybe?
I do want to give like a little shout out / announcement.
Sure, go for it.
Let me check the dates.
In the meantime, I'll throw a sandwich here.
On January 9th, that's this Saturday, at 2:30 Pacific time or 5:30 Eastern in America. I don't know what that would be for your time, sadly, but
That's okay.
We're gonna do a Pyro roundtable.
All right.
Look out for more info on like what channel that's gonna be on. I think that's going to be on Spyro's Twitch channel, and then we're going to upload it to one of our channels.
Well, if you let me know, I'll let the other guys know so we can tune in and listen to it. And you gotta listen too. You see that?
So we're gonna talk about Pyro. It's gonna be good.
All right, cool. It's gonna be nice to have, because what I like to do with the podcast is just to have one person opinion and not have someone else from the same community be like, "Oh, what you said is wrong and you're stupid."
Yeah.
So, because I'm asking your opinion and not someone else's at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think we got a good idea of like the Pyro, and I think. Oh yeah, let's finish off with where do you like? In which direction do you want to take the Pyro? We can close on that.
Oh man. Well, it's kind of tough to say because there's some things that need fixing before really making before really making a total judgment on that.
Okay, so where were you, like you mentioned before, like the time for Pyro to kill somebody is a lot quicker now. Like
yes.
Where would you like draw the line of what he should and shouldn't be able to do, like in the simplest of terms?
I think
Pyro gets a drop on an unrevved heavy, can you kill him before the heavy kills him?
Pyro is very good at punishing people, and I'm not too sure if he needs to be better at that. So I think keep the punish game the same. But maybe I would like to see Pyro become a little bit either more mobile or more utility.
Okay.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say in general terms, but I don't really personally care for the flamethrower that much. I gotta be honest with you. I really like the switching
care about the flamethrower.
Air blasting. Like, it matters heavily, but I like all the other things about Pyro more. Now, if you ask another Pyro player, like TMP, we want more flamethrower.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I would like to see more of the other things be shine. Of course, I want flamethrower to be fixed too, because that does affect everybody. But I would like to see some, enhanced, really cool mechanics like the switching speed and other things like that. I like those things about Pyro.
Yeah. More technical stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. I think we covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much for being on. You did the shout out.
Thank you.
The thing. You have anyone else you want to shout out to before we close off?
Shout out to my good friends Hardass. I don't think they're gonna watch this, but
yeah, okay.
They're cool.
All right. Well, this has been a podcast. It emerges whenever we have something to talk about. It's like Batman. He emerges when the city needs them the most. So yeah, big thanks to Johnny here. You want to say which team you play on?
Oh yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm really bad at shoutouts. Shoutouts to Chill Penguins as well.
All right,
my platinum team.
And
thank you for having me.
For watching.
Really appreciate it.
We will see you guys
Bye.
later. Bye.
Yay.